I'm Anthony L. Elmore, President and Founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association practice the teachings of the 13th century Japanese sage Nichiren Shonin, who teaches us that the highest teachings of the Buddha, Shakyamuni, was that of the Lotus Sutra. And Nichiren teaches us that it is only the Lotus Sutra that we must practice in relationship to Buddhism. We follow the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha, and we follow the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha based on the teachings of Nichiren Shonin. Now, my teachings, or what we teach most of all, is that we teach African Americans or black people to be proud black Buddhists. Please understand that the Japanese, meaning SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, and Nichiren Shu, these Japanese and most of the Asians extricated all black history, all black culture, and all black language from the Buddhist teachings. And because of that, you black people, you are at a disadvantage in regards to Buddhism. Now, my lecture today is called Barbershop the Next Cut, a Black Buddhist Lecture. Please understand that the way that we at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association teach Buddhism, we teach Buddhism in a way of our culture, our history, and our language. Now, on last week, just a few days ago, a movie opened in America called Barbershop the Next Cut.
This is the town I love, a neighborhood of family and friends.
You know how we do, Southside Chicago,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
And right here at the heart of it all is where everyone comes together, the barbershop.
What's up, hungry black folks? Who wants some gangster grub?
That who's hopping on fleek last time.
Did she just say fleek? There's a whole dictionary full of words. There's a library down the street. You won't see fleek in there nowhere.
He funny. He make me laugh.
What happened in the barbershop, Calvin? We used to come here to get away from women.
Me and Angie, we was both struggling to keep our shops afloat, so we had to work together.
Saved us both.
I can't believe y'all put all that money on your heads and then don't be having the money for your rent.
With this here and this booty,
Damn.
it's like walking around with a black Amex. And I never get denied.
Why y'all always got to take it there?
Streets is crazy right now.
I damn near got robbed the other day.
I got robbed twice and got my ass beat by the second robber for giving all my money to the first. She wasn't playing.
This neighborhood was always rough, but there's something different going on.
Hey, shooting out there.
I don't want to die a virgin.
Get your old ass down, man.
I ain't getting down there. It take me too long to get back up.
Meanwhile, we gotta raise Jalen in this mess. You don't understand how dangerous it is out there.
Y'all need anything? Y'all straight?
We gotta take our streets back. We put our minds together, we gonna get some solutions.
I got so much love for everybody in this neighborhood. Turn that up!
Yeah, this gotta be some of my best work. I bet you he won't be talking back to his mama no more. Give him that George Jefferson.
No.
When it comes to the Buddhist teachings is ingrained with Asian culture, Asian history, and Asian language, and it is outright racist in that the Asians do not make Buddhism inclusive of our culture, our history, and our language. So those of you who are studying Buddhism, you really do not get a clear understanding of the Buddhism because of the racism and because of the fact that the Japanese, especially in Nichiren Shoshu, Nichiren Shu, and the SGI, they extricated all black history, culture, and language from Buddhism. Now, let's get into the Gosho. Those of you who perhaps got a computer, and even if you don't have a Gosho, now what the SGI do have, they got a very good library. I think it's NichirenWritings.org or something like that. Now, if you go on the SGI website, there's a Gosho I want you to look up, and it's called The Recitations of the Expedient Means and Lifetime Chapters. Now, this Gosho explains, or in this Gosho, Nichiren explains Buddhism in a way that the Japanese do not teach, because Nichiren explains the Lotus Sutra. But I want you to look at a passage from the Gosho. Now, the Gosho is called, again, The Recitations of the Expedient Means and Lifespan Chapters. Now, the Gosho reads, quote, "When we scrutinize the sutras and treatises with care, we find that there is a teachings about the precept known as following the customs and region that corresponds to this. The meaning of this precept is that so long as no seriously offensive act is involved, then even if one were to depart to some slight degree from the teachings of Buddhism, it would be better to avoid going against the manners and customs of the country. This is a precept expounded by the Buddha. It appears that some wise men who are unaware of this point express extreme views, saying such things as, because the gods are demon-like beings, they are unworthy of reverence, and that this has offended many lay supporters." Unquote. Now, what Nichiren Shonin is teaching us, and what he teaches us, is a term, a Japanese word, Zuyo Beni, or Nichiren Shonin teaches us that we must practice Buddhism according to the local laws and customs of a land. See, the way Buddhism is taught in America, it is not inclusive of black history, black culture, and black language. So you are going against the teachings of the Buddha Shakyamuni, who taught us that so long as you don't go against the Buddhism or go against the Lotus Sutra, we must practice Buddhism according to the local laws and customs of the land. And we who are African American, Buddhism should be taught in a way that's inclusive of our culture, our history, and our language. We don't need no Japanese to come all the way from Japan, from his culture, his language, his history, and tell us something about Buddhism when he does not respect or make your history inclusive. When you teach and learn a Buddhism, and your culture, your history, your language, and your being black is not inclusive, that is not Buddhism, that is not the Lotus Sutra, that is cultural imperialism. And what we have in the Japanese religious sects like the Nichiren Shoshu and Nichiren Shu, we have Japanese cultural imperialists. They are imperialists because they don't include your culture, your history, and your language. Now, let me refer you also to another Gosho. Now, please get your Gosho. I spoke to it last week to Renee in California. Now, Renee, we mentioned that you were going to read the Gosho called The Gift of Rice. Now, see, the Gift of Rice challenges the way the Japanese teach us Buddhism. See, the Gift of Rice reads, quote, it says, "The true path lies in the affairs of this world. The Golden Light Sutra states, quote, to have a profound knowledge of this world is itself Buddhism. He goes on further. The Nirvana Sutra states, quote, all of the non-Buddhist scriptures and writings in society are themselves Buddhist teachings and not non-Buddhist teachings, unquote. He goes on further. When the great teacher Milo compared these passages from the one of the 6th volume of the Lotus Sutra that reads, quote, now listen, it reads, no worldly affairs of life or work are ever contrary to the true reality. He revealed their meanings and pointed out that although the first 2 sutras are profound, since their meaning is still shallow and fails to approach that of the Lotus Sutra, they relate to secular matters in terms of Buddhism, whereas the Lotus Sutra explains that in the end, secular matters are the entirety of Buddhism. See, let me explain. The way Nichiren Shoshu, the way Nichiren Shu, and the way the SGI teach Buddhism, they teach secular matters in terms of Buddhism, whereas the Lotus Sutra explains that secular matters are the entirety of Buddhism. See, Buddhism is not listening to some Daisaki Keita or some high priest. Buddhism is your everyday life. It's understanding. See, in our everyday life, Nam means to awaken. It means to awaken. So when you say Namu, it means to awaken. Now, Myo, it means to open. It's not necessarily mystic, but it also means to open. So when you open your mind to what? To Ho. Myo Ho. Ho means the 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. That is Ho. That is the way the universe operates, and that we have 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. That's Myo-Ho. Now, Ren means a lotus, and Ge means the way it manifests, and Kyo means the teachings of the Buddha. Now, in the movie Barbershop, the film involves black culture, black history, and black language. Now, understand that this movie is a black movie. There is nothing wrong. It's the #2 movie in America, and it's nothing wrong with black history, black culture, and black language. However, in the Buddhist religion, they have you believing that if you are with someone like the proud black Buddhist, you are racist or you are going against the Buddhist teachings. That is not the truth. In fact, it is the contrary. When you have a Buddhist sect that is not inclusive, or Buddhist teachings that's not inclusive of your culture, your history, and your language, you are the ones who are actually going against the teachings of the Buddha. Now, let us get into the movie Barbershop. Now, the Gold Show reads, quote, only Buddhas know the true entity of all phenomena. That is the 10 aspects. That is, all phenomena has what? An appearance, a nature, an entity, a power, an influence, an inherent cause, a relationship, a latent effect, a manifest effect, and you got a consistency of beginning to the end. That's 10 aspects. The 10 aspects manifest themselves along the line of 10 worlds. There are 10 worlds, and each world existing in each world, which is 10 worlds times 10 worlds, which is 100 worlds times 10 aspects, times the 3 realms. So you got 10 aspects, 100 worlds times the 10 aspects is 1,000 worlds times the 3 realms. Now, you got the realm of the 5 components. That is, you got an appearance. And within that appearance, you have a perception, a conception, a volition, and a consciousness. And then you got the realm of the environment of living beings, and then you have the realm of the environment. So we got 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. Now, when you look at the movie Barbershop, while I was at that movie, I wanted to cry tears. And I wanted to cry tears because it is a Buddha who look at things from the standpoint of the past, the present, and the future. See, the past, present, and future exist in a momentary state of existence. See, when I was a child, there were no black movies. You could not go to a theater and see a black movie. So when I grew up, I saw Tarzan whoop black folks' ass, and a white man goes to the jungle and beat all black people up. He controls all the animals. He was the king. He was this. I saw in the white guys, John Wayne, and they whoop on everybody. And all you see when you see black people, you see something negative. You have a negative image. See, I grew up and all you see was Stephen Fetchit, who was scratching his head and dancing. Or you look at the Little Rascals and all you see was Stymie and Buckwheat, and they made fun of us, they made fun of our hair. See, it was not until 1964 that Dr. Martin Luther King helped to get the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed. Prior to that, we black people were not a full American citizens. We lived in apartheid. Now, when you look at the movie Barbershop, please understand, ladies and gentlemen, that when I was a child, I could not even go to the front door of a theater. They made us go sit in the balcony because blacks and white could not be in the same place. Even though we paid the same price, they discriminated against us black people legally. They put us into a disadvantage. They didn't put us into movies. They didn't put us into stories. Our language was not included. They made fun of us. It is the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, in Buddhism. You have these Buddhist teachings and Buddhist stories where the Japanese have extricated all black history, all black language, and all black culture. Now, in the movie Barbershop, now, you got to realize, ladies and gentlemen, that after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, it was only in 1965 where a black person had a starring positive role in television. That was in 1965. Bill Cosby starred in the movie called I Spy. And he was a black hero or a black person in a positive role. And even in some southern states, they would not play I Spy because the white racists did not want black people shown in a positive light. Because when you can see yourself in a positive light, then you act positive. But when they put you in a position to where you don't see yourselves positive or you see yourselves in a subordinate position, then you are going to act subordinate. Now, one of the interesting things that happened, it was in 1966, Gene Roddenberry, the author of Star Trek, produced a movie or television show called Star Trek. And he had a woman, Denise Nichols, who played the role of Lieutenant Uhuru. In other words, you had a black woman in a positive role in Star Trek and a role of equality. Now, Denise Nichols was wanting to quit the show. And it was Dr. Martin Luther King who told her and asked her and pleaded with her, do not quit the show, because young black kids, young black people needed to see positive role models, and she had a positive role as being Lieutenant Uhuru in Star Trek. So Dr. Martin Luther King actually influenced that. Of course, we know that Dr. Martin Luther King got killed here in Memphis in 1968. Now, In 1971, what happened was there was a man by the name of Melvin Van Peebles. I think he worked in the stock market, and he had the idea to make a movie. In 1971, he, out of his back pocket, introduced a film called Sweet Sweetback. This is in 1971 when I graduated high school. When he made this black movie, Sweet Sweetback, man, them dollar signs raised up, and white men and white folk in Hollywood to all hell, we can make money. And they came up in the 70s called the Black Exploitation movies. And you saw a lot of black movies where we were black heroes, and some of those movies, they projected us as a pimp. And you had a lot of kids coming up, want to be a pimp, want to be a hustler, want to trade drugs, because they glorified this kind of lifestyle, and it affected us. See, once you understand Buddhism, see, there's a cause and effect phenomena. If you got a parent, a nature, to an entity, a power, an influence, you got a relationship, an inherent cause, and a manifest effect, a latent effect. In plain simple terms, if you show a little kid a pimp, that little kid, like you show a black kid a pimp, and this guy got got the Cadillac and all that, then you're going to have kids, or you're going to have a generation of hustlers, of people who grew up to be pimps. So what we need positive role models, we need positive stories. Now, in the movie Barbershop, or at least before there was a movie Barbershop, do you know that it was in 1986, a young guy who went to film school in New York, he went to college in Atlanta, he went to film school in New York, his name was Spike Lee. Spike Lee really wrote one of the first black movies that got into the intricate part of black life. He produced a movie called She's Gotta Have It. And this is in 1986. Then another man by the name of Robert Townsend, he wrote a movie called Hollywood Shuffle, depicting the way they got Hollywood want black people to look like. They want you to look like buffoons. They want you to be ignorant. And so he made a prodigy story called Hollywood Shuffle. Now, this is in 1987. Now, when I saw the movie She's Gotta Have It in Hollywood Shuffle, I made the decision. I said, well, why can't I tell my story? I did what Spike Lee did. I mortgaged my house, took everything I had, and I made a movie called The Contemporary Gladiator. So I made my own movie. I told my own story, and historically, I am the first filmmaker, black or white, to produce a 35mm film in the States in my area, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Now, let's get back into the movie called Barbershop the Next Cut. You see, Barbershop the Next Cut projects the positiveness of black culture. You see, coming up, whites made black people feel bad because we did not have straight hair, and they talked about our hair. Consequently, one of the cultures that have come about, they don't have movies about white people called Barbershop or Beauty Shop because their culture is different. But everything happens in the black community at the barbershop and the beauty shop because you can learn a lot of culture. Now, in the movie, you get to see different cultural or social aspects. One of the interesting aspects about the movie, they talk about the black woman. See, I was so messed up as a kid coming up because when I was coming up, all I saw was white women on television. So I watched the Beverly Hillbillies and I fell in love with Eddie Mae Clampett, or I see them people on Gilligan's Island, them three pretty girls on Gilligan's Island. I see those women, or I see Jane on Tarzan. So I didn't know how pretty black women was because no one ever told us how fine black women was. And I didn't find out how fine the black woman was until I was damn near in my 40s. I didn't know how pretty black women was. I didn't know. But I had this girlfriend, and I used to, every time she used to watch me, she said, "Don't you look at that girl, what you talking about?" And she and I be walking. She said, don't you turn around and look at that girl. And subconsciously, I walk down the street, and when I see a woman behind, I turn around and look. And subconsciously, I look at the behind. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I was doing that. So I'd be with her. She said, don't you look. Oh, you disrespected me. You turn around, you looking at. I didn't know I was looking at women. You see, let me explain something to you about television. You see, just the other day, I was looking at a commercial. And they had this white woman, Marie Osborne, you know, the epitome. Marie Osborne said, I took Nutrisystem and I lost 50 pounds. And I looked at her little thin butt. And I said, boy, that show must be a white thing, because ain't no black man gonna love no woman like no Maria Osborne. She too damn little. Man, now, when you look at the movie Barbershop, man, they got this woman named Nicki Minaj. Hell, I don't know too much about Nicki Minaj, but boy, that girl is fine. Excuse me now. I'm gonna get a little bit off Buddhism. See, I'm not no priest. See, in Buddhism, it talks about the 10 worlds. That is, hell, hunger, animality, anger. You see, Buddhism talks about the 10 worlds. Now, in the 10 worlds, hey, a man like a woman and a woman like a man. Now, when you look at the movie Barbershop, they talk about Nicki Minaj, and you see that woman got a booty on her. Now, I want you to look at something. Look at this picture of Marie Osborne and look at this picture of Nicki Minaj. Now, a white man may like Marie Osborne, but boy, we black men don't mind a little hips. We don't mind a little butt, and we don't mind just a little bit of weight, because that is our culture. That is who we are. When you go into the 10 worlds and the 10 aspects of the 3 realms, now you can talk about Buddhism, or you can talk about Buddhism, B-O-T-T-Y-ism, Buddhism. See, black men love, at least me, we love a woman who got back. They had a song out called Baby Got Back. Now, let me wrap this thing up. In the movie Barbershop, it was a positive story, in that one of the things that the story told, more than anything, is that those people use their life to make a difference in society. And we, who are everyday people, we can make a difference in society within our own culture, within our own realm, within our own life. So, go out, see the movie Barbershop, love your black culture, love who you are, and become a person who can make a difference in your community. I am Anthony F. Elmore, President and Founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, teaching us that it's okay to be black, proud, and Buddhist. Thank you very much.
I found myself a brand new mission to help others make a big decision. Bring to you as spiritual religion. It's not the religion that you expect. It's all about the laws of cause and effect. Devotion to the middle of the call of teaching. We do a lot of wisdom preaching. No more life with any drama. We change the words and change our karma. We bring to you the new Buddha way. We bring to you the new way to pray. After long prayers, a lot of meditation, I bring to you the Buddhist conversation. We can change our human relations. We bring to you the culture integration. It's about peace and love and changing situations. This channel in Buddhism makes a lot of sense. It's about self-development and enlightenment. I made the decision to join the Buddha way. I joined the Buddhist sect called Head and Faith. Buddhism new to America and like a tree. What the words of the Chinese think? Function to the middle of the call of the teaching. Different learning from a Christian preaching. Buddhism makes a lot of sense. Self-development and enlightenment. Becoming a Buddhist is a good decision. Look at yourself and find the inner wisdom. The function to the middle of the call of the teaching. While we only have Japanese preaching, the Buddhist religion is the way to go. I will find our leader in Tokyo. I wanted to Buddha way. They should I shouldn't follow sensei. I no longer do it his way. Went to a temple called Tai Second Chi. The car just the temple don't relate to me. In 2014 I left